A few months ago, I experimented with growing mushrooms on different types of material, and I documented them in a series of short-form videos. I grew these mushrooms just using an old book. Books, jeans, bottles, which all together received over 1 million views. I wanted to recreate some of these experiments to address some of the comments we received, as well as dive deeper into the science of fungi and the viability of mycoremediation, such as, are mushrooms capable of breaking down harsh chemicals, and can fungi help reduce plastic waste in our environment? I'm also going to conduct new experiments by adapting simple techniques found in the mycological world, only using secondhand materials or scavenged items. Hey guys, I'm here at Goodwill Buy the Pound looking to find random items that I can grow mushrooms on. So let's go see what we can find. I have no idea what I'm gonna find here. I have no idea what this is. Maybe these? I don't know, let's try it. I tried to set up a few guidelines. For container growing, it should be reusable and easy to clean, large enough to receive a sufficient yield, and ideally food grade. I feel like that would look really cool. You can watch the mycelium grow on the inside. Yeah, we'll try this guy. I also wanted to find items that I can grow mushrooms on, such as natural fiber clothing. Goodwill is doing a good job, but there's a fair amount of damaged clothing that who knows what's going to happen to it. So it's nice to think that I can take something out of that waste stream and use it to create new life, like growing mushrooms. Ideally, these items are in poor condition and made from organic materials. That's perfect. Cool. Well, I think we have everything to get started. We've got a cart full of stuff, so let's go check out and yeah, see what we can do. I forgot you had this. Generally speaking, it's possible to grow mushrooms in any container as long as there are holes for the mushrooms to breathe and grow from. This feels so wrong. I feel like I'm doing surgery. On a small scale, people typically cultivate mushrooms in containers by using buckets, jars, trays, and plastic tubs, though you can get as creative as you want. I've seen people use coffee mugs, tin cans, plant pots, and plastic laundry baskets. I love experimenting with fungi in this way because it shows how easy it is to grow mushrooms without any fancy equipment. You just need a container, hydrated material for the mushrooms to grow on, and mushroom spawn. This is what I'm getting into now. I'm combining hydrated straw, which is my substrate, with oyster mushroom grain spawn and stuffing it into these containers. In this video, I'm going to work with oyster mushrooms because they are fast growers and can digest a wide range of substrates. They're also one of the easiest edible mushrooms to cultivate for beginners if you're interested in growing your own. Over the next few weeks, this blue oyster spawn will start to produce dense white mycelium that will digest the straw as it grows. Soon after, I should hopefully start to see some pins or little mushrooms beginning to form through these openings. As humans, we nourish our bodies with a variety of foods that give us energy. The same is also true for certain types of fungi, including blue oyster mushrooms. Saprophytic fungi release specific enzymes to break down material, such as tough plant fibers, and turn it into energy. This aspect of fungal metabolism is a focal point in the field of mycoremediation. That's because plant fibers, such as lignin, have a similar molecular structure as certain environmental pollutants. Scientists have been conducting experiments by using fungi to break down plastics, decontaminate soils, store heavy metals, and decolorize toxic dyes used in the textile industry. For example, in 2014, a study conducted in Brazil found that they were able to break down oxo-biodegradable plastic bags using Pleurotus austratus, aka the blue oyster mushroom. These are plastics designed to biodegrade, not your average plastic sandwich bag. There's another catch. For the fungus to initiate degradation, they had to expose the bags to sunlight for up to 120 days. We observed that physical treatment alone was not sufficient to initiate degradation. Instead, mechanical modifications and reduced titanium oxide concentrations caused by sunlight exposure triggered microbial degradation. This is saying that Pleurotus austratus was capable of breaking down biodegradable plastic, but only when specific conditions were met. They also found that after 210 days of physical and biological treatments, plastic fragments colonized by the fungus still remained in the flask. The mycelium wasn't able to eliminate the plastic altogether. In fact, it's arguable that breaking down plastics into smaller and smaller parts will have far larger environmental consequences. It's probably best to reduce our use of plastics in the first place. It's also notable to mention that this is one of many other studies. Around 400 microorganisms have also been identified for their ability to degrade plastic, though more research is needed in order to understand these relationships and their effectiveness. Using microorganisms to degrade plastic is not the end-all be-all in reducing our environmental impact, as it is often assumed to be, but it's a good avenue for continued scientific exploration. There are definitely books and articles out there that you can find on this topic, so let me know in the comments if you have any other recommendations. Now, on to the next project, growing mushrooms on books, specifically books that are meant to be thrown away. Should have grabbed more hand sanitizer. Definitely not being sketchy. So I grabbed the books that they left out for me to use, but I still see some more in there, so I just wanted to check it out and see if there's anything else I can scavenge. Can't grow mushrooms on this, but it sure is a classic. Yeah, this'll work. Books are generally made with wood or organic material that mushrooms naturally thrive on. That makes it a readily available substrate. For the purpose of this experiment, I wanted to make a point of only using books that were forgotten, thrown away, or otherwise unreadable. Books that had the potential to support new life, despite being deemed as unwanted. For this process, I'm soaking these books in boiling water to help kill off any microbes that will compete with the mycelium as it grows. This is known as hot water pasteurization. A lot of people grow mushrooms using this technique on clean substrates such as wood pellets or straw. It doesn't completely eliminate the possibility of contamination, but it's the easiest way to pasteurize your substrate on a small scale. While I wait for these books to cool to room temperature, I wanted to discuss something incredibly important. Is it safe to consume mushrooms grown on books, or really any other waste substrates of questionable composition? Or should you be worried about the potential bioaccumulation of toxic materials in the mushrooms? There are a lot of comments and questions on YouTube surrounding the edibility of these mushrooms, and this opens up a really interesting conversation related to fungal biology.
I would encourage you not to eat the ones that you grow on books. Or if it's got like any possible exposure to metals, like don't eat it.
This is Dr. Lauren Czaplicki. She's an environmental engineer and mycologist studying the ways in which you can use native fungi to remediate contaminated sites. Her research at Duke University focused on the ways enzymes produced by fungal mycelium can break down and remove environmental contaminants from soil, such as creosote, a chemical slurry containing 35 different pollutants, which are used to preserve wood railroad ties and marine pilings.
Everyone that was on the East Coast that I talked to had at some point been involved in a cleanup effort at that site. So these were like really, really strongly stuck pollutants. And the native fungi didn't have any issues with them. I found that I was able to reduce pollutant levels across the board in under a month.
Creosote has been recognized by the CDC as potentially carcinogenic to humans, yet it is still used today. Like most mycoremediation studies, Lauren focused on the primary structure of the fungus.
Fungi consists of the mushroom, which is the reproductive structure, and then this underground network of hyphae, collectively called mycelium. That mycelium is what's carrying the team, what's doing all the work in all of these mycoremediation strategies.
Although fungi are incredible decomposers, they have limitations. Fungi can't break down heavy metals, but they are capable of removing them from soils by hyperaccumulating them in their fruiting bodies, albeit slow and unpredictably. That's why it's not recommended to forage for wild mushrooms on the side of highways, because rainwater can wash hazardous sediment from the road into the soils nearby.
Definitely more involved than I think a lot of people realized from Paul Stamets' like 6 ways mushrooms can save the world talk. He inspired me, but it definitely is like way more difficult than it comes across as. Mycoremediation is not a sprint, but it's a marathon, and we can come up with solutions to like help us get to a fully successful mycoremediation approach.
Now that these books have cooled, I'm going to prepare them for inoculation. Rather than layering my spawn in between the pages, I'm shredding the inside and then spawning. I want to maintain the shape of the book so it'll come out looking a little like a mushroom sculpture, The Last of Us style. These books are also going into the incubation tent to hang out with my containers as they colonize. So we're outside of North Spore on this beautiful day, getting ready to finish up our final project, growing mushrooms on clothing. This process basically entails cutting off the metal bits of the clothing, soaking them in water, and spawning them, and placing them in a bucket to fruit out of. I'm super excited to get started, so yeah, let's get to it. You might be wondering, what's the point of all this? Why grow mushrooms in weird containers, on old books, and clothing? Well, it's less about the why and more about the what if. Books and jeans are derivative of plant fibers that, sure, I can grow mushrooms on. The primary difference between these products and what mushrooms thrive on in nature are the inorganic compounds, chemicals, and/or heavy metals that are introduced in the manufacturing process. Scientists are studying the various ways fungi can break down environmental contaminants, but it doesn't stop them from entering our landfills, oceans, and terrestrial ecosystems every day. It's a fun thought experiment. We have an abundance of waste, but what if all that discarded material wasn't waste at all? What if fungi were more utilized across industries like clothing manufacturing? Some companies are already selling mycelium-based leather and clothing materials, but perhaps that could extend to minimizing waste streams from more conventional manufacturers too. If products are made with organic plant fibers and natural dyes, mushroom farms could potentially use those byproducts to grow edible mushrooms or create compost. The idea of this video is to start these conversations. What do we know about fungi, and how can we use that knowledge to positively impact our future? I'm placing one bucket inside the time-lapse tent. This is my favorite part, and soon you'll see why. Each and every individual piece of grain from the spawn I used is an inoculation point in which the mycelium will grow from. Now that these are fully colonized, I'm transferring some of my smaller items into this fruiting chamber. This will allow me to create a microclimate inside that's essential for fruiting mushrooms. Since this bucket is too large for the fruiting chamber, I will maintain it using simpler methods. It's been about a week and I have some fruiting mushrooms that look great. I have my clothing bucket, containers, and books. In my short form video where I grow mushrooms on books, a lot of people mention that you shouldn't eat these mushrooms because they may contain heavy metals or chemicals that are harmful for human health. Yeah, I don't recommend eating these mushrooms. Books and clothing aren't inherently clean materials, but that's because they aren't designed with the intent of growing mushrooms, let alone edible mushrooms. In the same way that many products aren't designed with the intent that they will be properly recycled. The fact that it's possible to grow mushrooms on materials that ultimately end up in landfills shows that there are many different ways we can use fungi that might not be apparent to most people. We might not be able to eliminate all pollution from our environment using mushrooms, but there are other use cases for fungi that can lead us towards a more sustainable future. Fungi are the basis for all ecosystems on Earth. They make soil and hold it together, helping plants move water and vital nutrients around. For that reason, they can also be used intentionally by us to help filter water, break down contaminated soils, and possibly even replace non-biodegradable materials. I decided to meet up with Sue Van Hook, a mycologist and expert on mycomaterials who's been developing mycobuoys, a fungi-based alternative to the classic styrofoam buoy that is primarily used in fishing and aquaculture practices.
We have become very good at extracting natural resources that are finite on this planet, using them, and then without any regard for the end life of them. What happens when the product is done? Thinking about products that are truly cradle to cradle, that come from the earth and return to the earth, and are just things from the earth and just things going back in the earth is where we need to go. And this is like the poster child of mushroom materials using the mycelium as an architectural structure that can form shapes to create all kinds of new materials for building, for clothing, for food, for medicine. Fungi really can help save the planet.
We might not be able to entirely remove plastics or hazardous chemicals from our environment, but there are other use cases for fungi that go beyond bioremediation or food production. This came from nature and it's going back to nature, so it's a really cool life cycle.
Nice. Yeah, and there are no end costs to that.
Yeah.
As we become savvy to extend a producer responsibility of making the manufacturer of a product responsible for the end life, those costs are going to soar. Those costs are going to soar. The European Union just required end producer responsibility for all of its fishing gear by 2025. That's a very short timeline. So I'm hoping to come in and fill that void with a cedar crate and a microbrew.
I'm here on the coast of Maine in a very well-maintained area, and I can't even go 10 steps without finding a piece of trash or plastic waste. This one here. To be honest, I didn't even notice until I started looking, and it just goes to show how blind we are to plastic waste in our society. There's still so much that I want to learn from fungi. Experimenting with and growing mushrooms has allowed me to reassess my own relationship with the things we regard as waste. Working with fungi has unlocked a myriad of possibilities, questions, and potential future directions for our society. They are truly humbling and fascinating organisms. If you've gotten this far, I want to thank you for watching this video. This wouldn't be possible without your support, so thank you so much and can't wait to see you again.